Peter, originally named Simon, was a rugged, outspoken fisherman from the small town of Bethsaida, later residing in Capernaum. He wasn't educated like the religious elite of his day, nor was he a figure of societal influence. Yet Jesus saw in this impulsive fisherman the potential to become a rock of the church. When Jesus first met him, he gave him a new name, Peter, meaning rock, John chapter 1, verse 42. But Peter's journey to live up to that name was anything but smooth. As one of Jesus' closest disciples, Peter was part of the inner circle, along with James and John. He witnessed miracles that left crowds astonished. Jesus raising Jairus' daughter, the transfiguration on the mountaintop, and Jesus calming storms with a simple command. Peter's life was full of dramatic highs, but it also had its painful lows. His boldness often led to moments of both triumph and humiliation. Peter was the first to recognize Jesus as the Christ, the Son of the living God, Matthew 16:16. Yet not long after, he was also the one Jesus sternly rebuked, saying, "Get behind me, Satan," when Peter tried to dissuade him from his mission to the cross. This moment is a testament to Peter's all-too-human tendency to misunderstand the plans of God. Peter's impulsive nature showed up again the night Jesus was betrayed. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Peter drew his sword and struck the high priest's servant, attempting to defend Jesus with brute force. Jesus, however, corrected him, healing the servant and reminding Peter that his kingdom was not of this world. But the most crushing moment in Peter's journey came just hours later. As Jesus was being tried and condemned, Peter, who had confidently declared he would never abandon Jesus, denied knowing him 3 times, just as Jesus had foretold. The rooster crowed, and Peter wept bitterly, a broken man who had failed his Lord. But failure wasn't the end of Peter's story. After the resurrection, Jesus sought Peter out, restoring him in a profound moment by the Sea of Galilee. 3 times, Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me?" And each time, Peter affirmed his love, as Jesus commanded him to feed my sheep, John 21, verses 15 to 17. This reinstatement marked a turning point, as Peter was not only forgiven but commissioned to shepherd the fledgling church. Empowered by the Holy Spirit on the day of Pentecost, Peter stood boldly and preached a sermon that led to the conversion of 3,000 souls. The man who once trembled before a servant girl now proclaimed the gospel fearlessly. He performed miracles, healed the sick, and even raised the dead, spreading the message of Jesus far and wide. Peter traveled extensively, ministering to both Jews and Gentiles, and played a crucial role in breaking down the barriers that divided them. In a groundbreaking moment, he visited the house of Cornelius, a Roman centurion, witnessing firsthand the Holy Spirit's outpouring on Gentiles and declaring that God shows no partiality. Yet Peter's leadership was not without controversy. The Apostle Paul famously confronted him in Antioch for withdrawing from Gentile believers out of fear of Jewish critics, Galatians 2, verse 11 to 14. Even then, Peter's humility shone through as he accepted correction and continued to advocate for the inclusivity of the gospel. This episode underscores Peter's ongoing struggle between fear and faith, a struggle familiar to all believers. Peter's legacy is enshrined in the 2 epistles bearing his name, 1st and 2nd Peter, which address suffering, holiness, and the hope of Christ's return. He wrote to encourage persecuted Christians, reminding them that trials refine faith like gold in a fire, and that believers are a chosen people, a royal priesthood. His letters continue to inspire believers to stand firm in the face of adversity. Peter's most significant contribution to Christianity lies in his role as a leader who guided the early church through its formative years. He demonstrated the power of redemption and the strength that comes from the Holy Spirit. Tradition holds that Peter was martyred in Rome under Emperor Nero's reign, crucified upside down at his own request, feeling unworthy to die in the same manner as his Lord. Apostle Peter's life is a vivid reminder that God uses imperfect people to accomplish his perfect purposes. From a humble fisherman to a fearless apostle, Peter's story assures us that our failures do not define us. God's grace does. The question remains,